Hi, you're listening to a Pod for Good Media Network podcast. We are a network that provides podcasting production services and a supportive community in which podcasters can thrive. If you're a podcaster local in the Tulsa area, we would love to have your show on the network. If you are interested in starting one, we would love to help you get started. Find us online at podforgoodmedia.com and fill out our Pod With Us form. Happy podcasting. Welcome to another episode of Pod for Good, a podcast where we learn from those doing good in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the world, why they care, what we can do, and most importantly, what you, the listeners, can do. Pod for Good is produced and edited by Pod for Good Media, which is me and other people. So if you like how we sound or are thinking about starting a podcast, reach out to me. I am easy to find. Pod for Good can be found anywhere you get your podcasts. So if you enjoy what we do here, please make sure to subscribe and share this episode on social media. I am, as always, your chief philanthropod and class clown for murdering trees that have wronged us, Jesse Ulrich.
And I'm your vice admiral philanthropod and class clown for probiotic sour beers, Chris Miller.
In this episode, we were talking to Andrew and Sally Whitney from Good Cause Brewing.
We talked to Sally and Andrew about all the setbacks and triumphs of trying to build a brewery. We talk about what to expect on tap and their passion for using beer to do good.
Enjoy. Andrew and Sally, welcome on Pod for Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So for our listeners who maybe have seen like either the Tulsa World article or seen Facebook posts, tell us a little bit about what Good Cause Brewing is.
We are a very community-based brewery, very small, like nano-sized, that has a mission to do some good and give back and kind of elevate some voices that don't always get heard and just build the community up however we can. We started during the pandemic, technically. We were listening to an article or a story, actually, I think it was on NPR, about a brewery in Colorado called Lady Justice. And their whole model was brewing beer to give back and to do good and promote social justice. And, you know, I think during that time, we were all kind of looking to find the path that we actually wanted to be on in life. And Andrew's always had a passion for brewing. I've come up in the nonprofit world. And both of our experiences were wonderful, but led something to be desired. And it just seemed like a very natural thing for us to do, to put those two passions together and kind of forge our way in that direction. And I kind of went from there. It's been a long, twisty, windy journey.
It was a fun time. So, during the pandemic, obviously, I had already opened a brewery with partners in Oklahoma City. And we opened on my birthday, February 28th, just before the pandemic, not knowing or understanding what was to come. But during that year, our neighborhood really came together. And I think like most communities really came together to support each other. And I think that was kind of that precipice or whatever that we were
wanted
at.
To see more of that.
To you know what? This is way better. We should be doing more locally and working more together for our community. And Sally has a great background in the nonprofit world, and I love making beer. I have kind of an engineering background, so it's kind of a good fit. We really just wanted to do more together, and I think this is a combination of both of our strengths and really in an effort to do more good.
So I guess, like elaborate on that for me. So when you talk about building community and like doing good for others, like how does that play in the field of sort of microbrewing?
So I think this is something that's I think we'll find like some kind of progression and that's going to evolve as we are open and grow, because I think it can take a lot of different look, like it can look a lot of different ways. And we've kind of really just tried to use what we have at hand. In the early days, it meant like, we don't have money, we don't have lots of sales. So what can we do? And we could do things like showcase artwork for events on our cans. Like we did that for the Goth Festival. We worked with another Tulsa artist fellow, and
you may have seen us.
And so we did beer for that, and put some great art on the can by another artist. Our big first launch, we collected tip money and like physical donations for the Be Heard movement. And so, that's kind of what we've had access to and what's been within like.
Yeah, we were also able to raise a small amount of money.
Yeah.
But we're at this phase right now where I wish that we could just open and just give away a ton of money to all these great organizations and give them, all the recognition, I guess, or awareness that we could help with. But right now we're kind of the good cause as well. So we're going to transition. So I feel like we have the ability to, pull volunteers together or do maybe a volunteer fair or something where we can bring some of the groups and organizations that we see in Tulsa doing great things that aren't Susan G. Komen or some big, massive organization that no one needs to hear about. But we found out about him and what he was doing with the Be Heard movement. And man, it's so inspiring. Like he is doing so much for a community that's so overlooked and marginalized. And it's awesome. It was awesome to be able to partner with them to do any kind of event. But I feel like we will always accept donations or anything that we can help him with. But
yeah, I think basically it just kind of, at this point, we're open to all kinds of ways that we could help and use the resources at hand, whether it's our building, our time, our skills, because, collecting money is one thing, but being able to give back in ways to, even if it's just providing space for someone or opening the door to different opportunities, we can be we have the ability to be really flexible and creative in how we give back, not just solely a monetary thing.
Yeah. I would also say that in the last year, we've kind of realized that there's another opportunity for us to do some good with some small startup brands. The access to market in the brewing industry is insane. I don't know how we've done it. We're here. But like currently we're producing for 5 different brands. We're bringing it down a little bit as we transition to our own space, but startup brands, Afropop in Oklahoma City, we worked with them and did a bunch of recipe formulation and really turned them from an idea into a now hopefully profitable brand. And another brewery is now producing for them, and now they're in the market. But that first step sometimes is real impossible. But we're making cold brew and soda and all manner of stuff for a few smaller brands, and it's helping us. So it's keeping us afloat and paying our bills. But
additionally, just how we've organized the brewery and our setup and a lot of the things that we've had the time now to think through. I think people are sometimes intimidated by craft beer as being a cis white man space. And we're trying to be really conscientious about how we organize our brewery. We've already thought through, like things like hiring processes and SOPs that allow us to have a really inclusive experience for employees and visitors to our store. Our tap room. And we want to kind of break down some of those intimidating barriers to beer.
So speaking of beer, can you talk a little bit about what style of beer that you focus on?
For days. For how much time is that?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty wide breadth of beers that we currently make and have made in the past. I moved here from San Diego a few years ago and really wanted to bring that San Diego brewing style here. And since then, there's been this outbreak of hazy IPAs, and everyone does barrel aged beers now. It's not just a specialty brewery that's doing that. So we did have an instant where we picked up like a 200 barrel racks. It was a late night auction that no one had bid on, and I got happy with some mouse clicks. we got a whole truckload of barrel racks. So we'll definitely do some barrel aging.
Yeah.
But also we use that and we've done a lot of pivoting in the last 2 years. But a good bulk of the things in the brewery are made from retired and used barrel racks.
Oh, okay.
So tables, chairs,
cool.
door handles, walk-in cooler door.
Late night minimum bids
Counter.
are a bad idea.
Yes.
It sounds like it turned out to be a great idea.
It kind of did.
Well,
lemonade.
yeah.
It's lemonade.
Yeah,
Every
that's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
If you guys need any barrel racks, we'll give you a great deal on some.
I feel like we could do some things with some barrel
Anyone
racks.
listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone listening, you need some barrel racks, you know where to go.
Yeah.
So Chris and I like two different. I would say our beer tastes are very different. I'd say mine's more simplistic, but that's probably just me putting myself down. But like, I'm not a huge IPA fan. I'm not a huge like sour. I'm a very much like a Kolsch saison type.
Oh.
And so like, I guess like as you guys are gearing to open, like what are going to be your sort of like good cause like leading beers when you
your
open?
signature
So
beers.
so I'll just back up and answer that question before and say that we'll pretty much brew about anything. I've spent a long time. If you drank any Pepsi products in the last year and a half, I mixed those personally.
Wow.
I made them myself in a very large room. It's very hot, 12 hours a day. So I work for Pepsi. I took a break. Let's see, we were producing and started contract brewing in 21 with Good Cause. And then I took a break to go to Pepsi to learn more about soda. So we kind of do everything. So we won't have just beer. We'll have a lot of non-alcoholic options. We make some mocktails and terpene sodas for Social Bison. It's one of the brands we produce for. But we'll have seltzer and stouts and hazy IPAs and
We do have some sours, but you should try our sours.
No,
because
I always do.
He's always willing to
Yeah,
try.
it's just I'm just I mean I lived in Boston for a while and there was a brewery up in Vermont that like supposedly had like the world's like hoppiest IPA, and we went.
Alchemist.
Yes,
The Alchemist.
and
it's
and
the
like
only one worth going in Vermont.
Yep, and like we couldn't even like the brewery itself had sold out, and so we were trying to find it somewhere, and we finally found one, and I tried it, and I was like my sinuses instantly cleared. I don't know if it was good, but like it served its
You were
purpose.
told
Like
it was good, though,
it wasn't designed to be good. It was designed to be an experience. But yeah, so I mean I feel like IPA sort of exploded with sort of the smaller brewery explosion. And some brewers have told me it was because IPAs are sort of the easiest one to get into.
They're more forgiving.
They're more forgiving, I believe was the term we heard.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I put a lot of food science and like a massive amount of science into all our batches. So like I would say our sours probably don't taste like many. I would say probably not like any sours in the state. We're pretty unique from every sour in the state. I could pull quite a few from other states, but I don't like acetic acid, like vinegar content in my beer. It gives me instant heartburn, and it makes it's a miserable experience for me.
Right.
So I'm really sensitive to it. So a lot of sours tend to have that vinegar pickle kind of characteristic, and I just can't do it. So we use probiotic culture to sour. Yeah. So it's an added benefit. You get a little probiotics in there, but really it's a good like sweet tart kind of tartness.
Okay.
Interesting.
Not like a warhead or like, that crazy sour candy.
that hurts the back of your mouth,
Yeah.
But you avoided answering our question, which is
We did.
when you guys launch, like what is going to be like?
Do you have a signature,
Yeah,
or is it going to be more like continuously rotating?
Yeah, like when people walk in the door, like what's the first drink item they're going to see?
So we do have a few core beers, but we will always have seasonal rotators. Diversity is the spice of life, so you got to mix it up.
Yeah,
And two of those are sours, and the reason for that is because when we started brewing as a brand, we were contract brewing, and you have to make like to make it anywhere remotely profitable, you have to make it like a large amount because we were paying to paying to make it, paying to can it,
right.
And also we were brand new. And so we needed like a very shelf-stable beer because you never know how long it's going to sit on a shelf or where it's going to sit on a shelf because, you're an unknown. And so we wanted to put out beer that would be good regardless of,
Something
when
you could
someone
sell or
picked it up.
or could get left on a shelf for a year and still be this great example. And again, a lot of careful intention and patience in coming up with the right recipes. It's hard to move 80 cases of beer when you're a first,
Yeah.
You're visiting someone 3 or 4 times, get them to buy 1 case.
Yeah.
It takes some time.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all very approachable. There's a blueberry sour called Pluto that's been it's probably the fan favorite.
It's probably
I
our
think.
flagship beer.
Yeah.
Do you put blueberries in it?
Yes.
Yes, it's
Everything is real ingredients.
all real fruit, real everything, and it's 8.5%.
All right.
It's
Yep.
All right. Now we're talking.
You wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
And it's overly easy to drink a pint and then another.
Well, just to anger some of our listeners, are you thinking about making a pumpkin beer?
Oh man. Right out of the gate.
I should let our audience know I myself love pumpkin beers, but some of our friends do not.
It's a mixed bag.
Here's the thing, it is a mixed bag. Some just taste like pumpkin pie, and some taste good.
Shout out John Elkins. Makes arguably the best pumpkin beer I've ever had, and I'm not a pumpkin beer fan. But Pumpion, it's a rum barrel aged pumpkin ale.
That does sound good.
So yeah, I think if the opportunity presents itself, possibly.
Yeah.
But I think
it's not high on the priority list.
our opening beers are basically Pluto's kind of our flagship. We make another beer with 5 different species of dark cherries called Gravitational Havoc. It's also 8.5%. It's just I love Creek. I love like a classic Creek style, like lambic, the saisons.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out if there's a beer there. I can have first and be like, yes, good. Now let me try the other ones.
The reality is that all the beers that I love aren't really the beers that people buy the most of, and we are still a business, so we're trying to cater to the market. But I will still always try to make a little something. I love saison. It is my favorite style. Whether it's a wild ale.
One of the first craft beers I ever had, and I did not know that beer tasted like that. No idea.
Yeah.
It's dry, spicy, some good stuff in there. But so our flagships would be Pluto, Gravitational Havoc, and then we have a beer called Fam for All Mankind that we made. It's kind of a strong ale, golden ale. These are all 8.5%. They're all 8.5.
So scientifically, is it easier for you to make it 8.5%, or is it just sort of happens?
No, it's what everybody expects now. There's been a shift. They for years they talked about this thing called the lupulin shift. That the perception of bitterness has changed as we drink more and more bitter IPAs and these massive West Coast IPAs, and now that all the hazies are popular, people don't want any bitterness. They want that fruity, juicy pineapple, mango, guava characteristic.
Right.
And 10%.
Yeah.
So we do have a hazy IPA. It is 10.5%. It is all the pineapple juice and mango characteristic you can expect with no fruit. There's no fruit in it. It's just hops.
Yeah.
A lot of really
More
good
science.
biotransformation. You can look it up.
All right.
You can get lost in a rabbit hole about biotransformation. And then we have a light lager called Rayburn Road that we are going to launch at our grand opening. That's a kind of an ode to Sally's family farm that we gave up to fund this dream.
Oh, wow.
So, Arkansas Rice Farm. So we will.
Arkansas Rice Farm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad passed shortly after we launched Good Cause. And my little sister and I, we realized very, very quickly that we are not farmers and we are not farm managers.
Yeah.
We struggled. This farm has been in our family for so many years, like hundreds.
Yeah.
And
the main road going out of town out to the farm is named after the family because that's all that was ever on it before.
That was it.
Wow.
So
and so we struggled with what do we do, right? And I think I probably struggled a little more than she did because I had more time there. But we had this great tenant who was farming it and had been working with my dad to farm it. And that summer, we're just trying to figure out what to do. And I get a call that says like this massive piece of equipment is broken. It's going to take thousands and thousands of dollars to replace. And I am freaking out.
And it has to be done now.
Yeah,
Because,
because it's the
plants have to
middle
get
of
water.
summer and it was like a water pump and like for a well. And I'm freaking out. And then I get a call, like I don't sleep. I get a call and they were like, oh, it's okay. It was a turtle.
There's
It's just a turtle. And I was like, that's it. I am not cut out for
Wow.
this.
Yeah.
Turtles,
Not
man.
cut
Yeah.
out. I'm losing sleep and afraid everyone's going to lose, everything.
Yeah. And it's like a 4.5 hour drive to get out there. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
So we decided the best thing would be to just follow our own passions and do the thing. So
Yeah.
that's how we started.
I know that you've had some difficulties opening, to put it mildly. I think about this time last year, you thought you were pretty close to opening.
We did.
Yeah, we
indeed.
were maybe a few weeks behind where we are now.
Yeah.
We could
Yeah.
have been having this same meeting a year ago.
Yeah.
And had a lot of the same discussions. So,
Yeah. And then obviously, unfortunately, the Father's Day storm happened, and I know it severely affected you all.
Devastated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was our first day off for the year.
Yeah.
We finally decided to take a Saturday off and go see my brother. He just moved here from Portland and bought a house out at Lake Eufaula. We were way out of service and just oblivious to the fact that this storm had devastated part of Tulsa. So we got a call from our neighbor that was like, your brewery needs you. And our neighbor was like, yeah, we lost our roof. It's all over our parking lot and up against the BA. Well, that turned out to be our roof.
Ugh.
Their roof was fine. Ours
Yeah.
was missing. I mean, you walk in and it was just sky. There was nothing in between us and the air for several months.
Several months.
We I hesitate to say anything bad, but insurance
Not
company
owning
and
not being the owners of the building presents its own set of challenges.
Yes,
Yeah.
I imagine.
We're at the mercy of our landlord and their
Mhm.
insurance company
Yeah.
getting on the same page.
Right.
And that was 3 months just sitting.
Yeah.
And then
And did it sit with the roof
Wide
off for those
open.
3 months?
oh yeah.
yeah, wide
Pretty
open.
much.
All the
Pretty
storms
much.
that happened last summer got in.
Wow.
The benefit is that we had just finished concrete, and we have such a great space. Like we have so much intention in every aspect of the building, but we put floor drains everywhere. So this is my third brewery build. So I wanted to make sure we got it all right since it's ours finally.
Mm-hmm.
And we put a floor drain in the walk-in and 2 behind the bar and big
In
sloped
the
floors. Yeah, floor
bathrooms
drains in the
and-
bathrooms and the
Oh,
hallway.
wow. Yeah.
Because I want to be able to
Yeah.
hose down the bathroom, foam
Yeah.
it down, and
Yeah,
rinse
just
it
like
out,
psh,
nice
yes.
and clean,
Mm-hmm.
and no fluids on the floor. And man, that was our saving grace because every part of the building had great drainage,
Yeah.
brand
Wow.
new drainage.
That's good.
Wow.
So yeah,
But it took 9 months before real construction started. We got the roof replaced pretty quickly, but then it was such a large claim that I think it
Mhm.
got bounced around a whole lot.
Yeah.
mhm,
And then
several times.
yeah. So about 9 months in, they started like in earnest getting us back to where we were before handing it off to us to finish. I mean, the silver lining in all of it was that it's a nearly 100-year-old building.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly there were things that we would have loved to have upgraded, but didn't have the ability.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks to Mother Nature, we now have all new electrical, a new roof, new HVAC.
Nice.
Mhm.
Like all the major systems are brand new.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna
some
ask.
silver
Yeah, I was
lining.
gonna ask if this silver lining is like roofs hide a lot of things in buildings, and so everything that went with that roof had to be replaced, and so
Yeah,
now
well,
it'll be nice and cool.
we went from like an R6 rated tar down roof. So it was just plywood
Ooh.
with tar on
Oh.
top.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And now we have a TPO roof, which is like R20 something. So we haven't turned on our heat or our AC since we got power back on in
Oh.
October. November.
Yeah.
Really?
And,
Wow.
and
impressive.
it's like perfect all the time in there. So
Yeah, we
I'm
stay
excited
at
about our
good
low utility
65
bills.
to 70 degrees all the time.
That's
Nice.
crazy.
It's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So I would say we probably revised a few things because we
Mhm.
had a little bit of time. We definitely made a few more things ourselves because of that time, but really the time didn't really gain us much other than a lot of stress and exhaustion and all our loans, everything else, all the bills continued.
Yeah.
But we just couldn't get there.
Did the time, if the time while you were getting the new roof and all their place, that allowed you to buy all that, those cork barrels though, right?
No, we'd already purchased
okay.
we already had all the things in place, but
I was trying to help you
what
out there.
it did allow, because we had just purchased a lot of equipment. We are very fortunate to work with TEDC, and they have helped us. They helped us get a loan for some equipment from Elk Valley when it closed, and so we went and picked up a lot of John's
we got
day-to-day stuff,
all of John's equipment, really,
except for his really big pieces. But having a canning line, which is something that wasn't in our budget before we went to TEDC and John's situation came about, we got a canning line, which allowed us to really pivot to helping these other brands package, because you can take a canning line anywhere.
Yeah.
And if someone has a commercial kitchen space and the license to make food products, they can make soda. And so we've been really, really fortunate to make some friends in the soda space. And a lot of the science carries over that Andrew had from Pepsi. And it's
complicated. I think soda might be more complicated or complex than beer.
Interesting.
Well, because, beer has alcohol in it to keep it safe.
Oh,
So,
I guess that's
as long
true.
as it's, 3%, you're not really going to get sick from the beer. But soda is an entirely different product.
This is a tangent here. What was like the weirdest Pepsi product you made? I guess you
Or soda
Probably Peeps.
Oh,
Pepsi
that's right.
Peeps.
That's right. They did the Peeps flavor.
God, yeah.
No. It was that Halloween, the fruit quake, Mountain Dew fruit quake.
Wow.
It had like 13 different flavors in it. It had like rum flavor, Mai Tai flavor, anise, cinnamon, had a bunch of wild, and then it had like a fruitcake flavor.
Interesting.
added. It was less than desirable.
Yeah. Listen, if anyone from the Pepsi Corporation is listening, bring back Diet Mountain Dew Code Red, please. Why is it gone? Anyway. Yeah, it's gone.
Well, yeah, we can't find it around here.
Yeah, you can't find it around here at least. So.
Wow. Fun fact, the Pepsi plant goes through about 30 acres of corn a day in high fructose corn syrup.
Wow. That is impressive.
That's disturbing.
Yes, yeah.
And also disturbing.
So in a 12-hour shift, so it never turns off. 12 hours, AM or PM shift. It never shuts down.
Wow.
Ever.
Does it need the high fructose corn syrup? Does soda actually need it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cheaper than sugar or anything else.
Gotcha.
But we the Pepsi plant puts out 3 to 6 million bottles per shift. And that's just Oklahoma and like a little sliver of Kansas border, Texas panhandle. It's wild. It is wild how much sugar. And then there's a Coca-Cola plant in Oklahoma City. So
yeah.
I mean,
as someone who doesn't drink that much soda now, that is crazy to me.
it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting question. You were talking about how like people expect like higher alcohol content in beer now. Is that because and maybe this is because of the age we are, but I feel like as our generation got into microbrewing and whatnot, now that we are slightly older, we can't drink as much beer. So now we just want our beer to be as effective, as efficient as possible.
Kind of.
Okay.
I subscribe to that because we share. It's funny for brewery owners, we really don't drink much, which maybe we should strike that from the record. But we share a beer. But typically, if we're sharing a beer, it's something that's probably barrel aged or a wild ale. It's something that took a lot of like heart and soul to produce. Right? It wasn't just pumped out in 24 pack cases. And it's like picking out a fine wine to match dinner.
Right.
And we share it, and it's 10 to 13%. Those bottles I can't drink alone. I don't have the tolerance to be able to consume that much alcohol.
Yeah.
So I can only drink it when she wants it too. So I'm like, hey, you want to pick out a beer tonight?
It becomes more of a fun activity and like an experience more than just like we're getting wasted on some whatever.
Light lagers.
Well, on the other side of things, you mentioned that you made some soda, some non-alcoholic stuff like that. That seems to be another trend. It's almost like you're seeing less in the middle. It's either people looking for non-alcoholic beers making a comeback. A lot of more breweries are doing sodas and things like that. So what are you seeing in that space?
So, I'm like, yeah, this will make it before our grand opening, maybe.
Yeah.
So I have a really big plan to do some nootropic drinks, like mushrooms and more like wellness type beverages. We've been making cold brew and working towards more, I guess, breakfasty type drinks. Soda, I have a problem with soda. I don't mind making it, but I don't drink it much because I just don't like the sugar.
Right.
But I do drink a lot of coffee, and I love coffee. We made friends with a farmer a couple years ago in El Salvador, actually not far from the Topeka farm, and we get beans from him and roast them here locally. And I mean, we just love coffee, but sometimes you want like an alternate, something else. You know, you got a little brain fog, or maybe you need a little bit of caffeine and something that's not just a can of sugar. So I think that is probably the big trending drink this year. Is probably more like mushroom teas, lemonades, and a lot of mocktails, like fake. We have a mimosa that we made for Social Bison that's got all that champagne must and orange juice in it, but, without alcohol. So I think that there's a shift. I think a lot of people drank and consumed a lot of alcohol during the pandemic. And I think that now we're seeing the consequences of that. Of people develop these bad habits. Now they're trying to shift and make healthier habits. And as a beverage producer, it's our job to try to stay on top of that and release what's new or forecast what's coming and try to adjust. So I just want to make all the drinks.
Yeah.
All the drinks. Beer's fun, but
So speaking of that, how do you help edit what you're going to produce? Because obviously you can't produce, 1,000 different things all at once. So how
should see our notes app.
Yes. Do you want to see?
I see this relationship dynamic already. It's very familiar to Chris and I.
So we have a list. Anytime that we have an idea for a beer or a drink or a name, we write it down.
It's like we eat something, we go out and have like this amazing dinner. We're like, oh, this flavor, that's a good flavor.
Yeah.
How do we, do this or that?
Lafa had this really great dessert that was it lavender? Peaches and lavender ice cream? Someone listening knows and is probably angry, but it was so good that I was like, we have to find a way to make something similar to this.
Yeah.
And I think that we draw most of our inspiration from food. It's the experience.
Yeah.
You have an experience or have something that you're like, man, that's a flavor combo I didn't expect to turn out the way it did. Like Riverside, the Riverside Studio Sour we made for Goff Fest for a Tulsa Artist Fellowship was plums and tarragon. And man, like fresh muddled tarragon. And then, so good. It is. We still have a few cans. It's so good.
Time.
Tarragon. It's tarragon. We'll settle this.
Yeah. I'm just going to say from my own experience of arguments with my own significant other, she's probably right. But it might just be me. So now that you are going to have a space, hopefully soon, like what are your dreams for what the Good Cause in Good Cause Brewing can do once you actually have a physical location? Like a year from now, what is the dream to like what you have helped to do in that time?
Oh man.
Doing something with our showroom space.
we yeah.
Maybe not us, but some kind of good cause element.
Yeah, I hope that our space becomes just kind of like a natural, like when organizations or groups are like, where do we go? How do we get together? How do we reach people? Where's a safe, inviting, inclusive space for us to be? I hope that we're the natural, like, oh yeah, let's just go to Good Cause. Let's do this thing there. Let's go talk to them and see what we can do together. I hope that those conversations start happening.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
as far as like any one organization or one big goal, I've not thought that yet because I think it's going to present itself.
Mm-hmm.
We're just open and available to all
Yeah.
good things.
Yeah.
And so this is a very in the weeds question, but I feel like our listeners in Tulsa will appreciate this question. Where are people supposed to park by your tap room? Like in the research parking lot? Or where's the parking lot?
Well,
That is the great part.
shout out to Everett at Research. We love you. No, not Research.
All right, do not park in the
No.
research parking lot.
We have so
If you're
according to this-
shopping at Research and happen to come by,
Yeah.
yeah, support our local
No
businesses.
one parks
Yeah.
at that end row anyway. Come on, Research.
So, the city says we technically have 8 parking spaces, which is
so there are
Does
4,
exist?
3 to 4 just in front of on Atlanta. There's 3 to 4 in a little cut-in space, and there's 3 to 4 parallel
On
available.
Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And then we have
Okay.
a dedicated ADA spot that's kind of in our, I guess you call it our driveway alley
I'll call it
space.
like the alley, but
Mhm.
it's not. It's just a passage behind us with our dumpster, but we have a handicap spot back there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
And then people were gonna park where they're gonna park.
Yeah.
You know, now that Hooligans is gone,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You know,
Park across
there
the
is a
street.
parking lot across the
RIP.
street.
Hooligans, but on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a very empty spot there. We have the most magnificent, like fabulous, wonderful neighbors ever that I think are open to letting people as long as they're respectful and kind with their property.
Do you want to mention them?
Yeah. Cultivates. I was getting there.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to leave it
No.
like, like you have to come and find out.
So in the on one end we have Cultivate Strength, and they do, I think, like physical therapy, personal training services, and then in the middle we have Lottie Stevens Estate Sales, and they are all just the best people.
Yeah.
They are all super fun. We have the best block.
Supportive.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Friendly. I can't wait to do a big block party.
But yeah, it is such a, I feel like for Tulsa, a very unique street because like it's just that like one block with the highway behind it and research on the other side. And there are businesses there. And it's just like driving by them, I'm always just like, it's just like normally in sort of the Tulsa retail shopping space, there's more space given to an area like that. And yours is almost like a leftover from like an earlier time.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean,
It literally is. Yeah, it literally is.
is.
You talked about how like the floor drains saved you because of your time working in other breweries and other tap rooms. So like, what makes a good, like, entertaining and fun tap room? And is your tap room going to have those things? I guess I should say. How about this? Let's rephrase this. Tell me about your tap room.
Well, there's not a child care center.
All right.
That probably changes everything for everyone.
It's I think, we're kind of like that younger Gen X. I will say I'm Gen X.
Elder
Sanders.
millennial.
We don't need to start that debate
span the
yet.
gap. We span the gap here.
Same. Jesse likes to call himself a Gen X, even though
I'm an Oregon Trail generation person.
technically
We've talked about this.
speaking,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are aligned here.
Yeah,
Yes.
like-
We're like miscategorized as like a early millennial, but we're kind of like
There's a group of tail ends.
cusp. We're on the cusp.
We're cusps.
The people who knew were awake and like had memories of a time pre-internet are different than people who were
Yes.
born with the internet.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can group those two
I
people
think
together.
if you graduated high school without cell phones, or even like in abundance, no one really had them.
I had a pager.
Then you kind of same.
A pager and a car phone.
They did not have a car phone, but again, I
It was
think
a family car phone.
I
It
think
wasn't
it's
mine.
kind of there's a division there that we just didn't ever have that technology. It
Yeah.
kind of came in when I was in college, so
Mhm.
it's a little different.
Yeah.
But,
But I think we have that. I think we both have that, like, during that, like, late adolescence, young adult, you go to the coffee shop and you hang out and just talk with
Yeah.
your friends. And, like,
that was the place to get away and hang out.
Yeah.
Now it's that place with Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. When Gypsy was the only thing in downtown
yeah,
Tulsa.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
There a lot.
that
Yes.
the pool hall on like Memorial and like a bowling alley.
Yeah, that we could go to in
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Man.
I think our tap room is going to have some of those, chill vibes. We don't have a TV.
No.
Sorry. Not gonna watch the game.
I'm sorry,
No,
we don't
it's
do
okay.
a lot of sports.
We're
But go
not-
sports. We
Yeah.
totally
Go
support sports.
sports teams.
Go sports ball. All
That's
right.
a lie.
Yes.
I've been to
Yeah.
like half the hockey games that the Oilers have played this year, but
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm not a real big sports guy. I like watching it, but I don't follow it.
Mhm.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much to follow all that. There's
Yeah.
too many things to
There.
But and it's it's a fairly small space, so it's very relaxed. It's chill, just being
we have a
with
good
your
s-
people.
Yeah, we have a good 70s vibe going on in there.
Mhm.
So
That's
it sounds
cool.
like a tap room more in the vein of like a, late 90s, early 2000s coffee shop.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have an espresso machine.
All right.
A
Nice.
nice 2-group espresso machine that I'm sure at some point we will move in, but it's currently making us great coffee every morning, and it's just going to be a hard
Hard to say goodbye to that.
Yeah.
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 Listen, hey, TEDC, if you're listening, buy them another espresso machine. So, give them money for another espresso machine.
Yeah.
I'm excited
give
for
you-
the cold brew drinks that you make. I'm a big fan of cold brew, and it's just one. I like the higher caffeine percentage, but I also like the lack of bitterness that because I didn't get into coffee because I enjoyed coffee. I got into coffee because that was the adult thing to drink to
Oh.
get caffeine. Because at a certain age, you can't respectfully drink a Mountain Dew in front of people. So
I
had
thought
to
you were going
stop.
to say a Monster Energy.
no, I know I wasn't an energy drink person. That's too much for me. You don't want to see me on an energy drink, but I
Yeah.
need something.
Mm.
So I'm looking forward to that. But
So in addition to the tap room space, you've mentioned a showcase room,
Yeah.
Yeah,
community
so we
room.
have a couple
so-
unique spaces.
Okay.
We again to go back to like the intention that we put into this
Mhm.
space. We really tried to reverse engineer our space based on what we had, because we didn't have the capital to lease parking or confront researchers about leasing part of their parking for us to be able to build a larger tap room. And so we kind of built our tap room space around the parking that we had available. So there's this large showroom space it's beautiful. It's all glass brick and just great lighting, but it would raise our occupancy rate so high that we would have to add a bunch of other things plus add parking. So we have this big space now that's separate, that our architects divided up for us. And I hope that turns into a really great community space, or whether it parallels the brewery or it's just something really good that we can do with the space. But we also have another office that's kind of really just part of the tap room, but it's
Yes.
designated as our office. But now that we've set up tables and chairs, we realize that
We could probably
we
utilize
probably
that
use the rest of
space
that space.
and not affect our occupancy.
Mhm.
And it was kind of another one of those happy accidents during the storm. When pre-storm, it was this like probably 90s built mahogany paneled, just
Leather tile
luxurious
floor.
smells of leather bound
Yeah.
books.
Man, I mean, there was
Yeah.
a wet bar.
Yeah.
Someone probably kept their shoes up on their desk and
Eh.
smoked cigars
Right.
behind it.
But the storm, the rain just trashed it, right? So they were doing demo and during the demo they uncovered this really, really amazing tile mural.
Oh,
The
wow.
whole wall is a
The
tiny
entire
little
wall.
1-inch mosaic tiles. It's a giant beach scene. And I'm so glad we managed to keep it. And
That's cool.
We
That's cool.
learned
It just
we
made a
learned
great
early
space.
on when we were doing demo that the building was originally was a tile company.
Mhm.
And it was owned by this Italian man who we found all this really cool correspondence. He was, after World War II, he was supporting a village and rebuilt a church. And we uncovered a treasure trove of some Tulsa history and
Cool.
just history in general. And so that was really fun. So we knew there was tile made there, but what we didn't know was that Bruce Goff had assembled one of his big murals, the one that's in the bank in Stillwater,
Wow.
in our building.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so when we started seeing tile, like a tile mural, we got very excited. I did not know. There's no way Bruce Goff made a beach scene, I don't think. But,
yeah, yeah,
maybe
helpful.
someone got
Yeah.
inspired or practiced.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't know.
yeah. They were like, oh, he did that great thing. We could do something like that.
Mhm.
But we uncovered so many great things in that building. Like, you can look through some of our social and find time lapses and stuff. But we had to move this one wall 5 feet, 6 feet. And so it was no longer a hallway. It became a corridor, which I don't understand how those two are different, but they are according to like the fire marshal and architects and the people that
Are
need it.
corridors smaller?
No, it's
than
wider.
Wider.
Interesting.
It's
Okay.
wider.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
We're learning.
it was like a bottleneck for escaping the building if there was a fire. So
Yeah.
they widened it. Well, when we went to take it down, it had built-in bookshelves. And we took the bookshelves down and pulled all the wood down. And then it was tile behind that. And then behind the tile, it was stucco. And behind the stucco, it was this brick right here in
Wow.
our studio.
Wow.
And so it was really interesting to take that down. We have about a 9-minute clip of us demoing it.
Go th-
And
it's like a time capsule going through.
it is so great. Yeah. Well, we took down other walls that had posters, like
they just like
war
put
bonds.
things in front
a
of.
war bonds poster.
Wow.
Like probably the first
yeah, it's like
retirement
they were like, let's
account
just
ever.
remodel and let's just stick it up.
Yeah,
in
we're
front.
not gonna
It's
take things
taped.
down.
Yeah.
It was taped onto that brick wall, like old pieces of tape, and they just
Wow.
framed over it and put up new
There-
stuff.
Yeah, there was a sticker to remind everyone to submit their time cards, or you will not get paid.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, just
You got to get your helper's signature, or you won't get paid on this job. And they just didn't even. I didn't even take that down. So, but we unearthed a massive amount of records in the ceiling from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And one of the most exciting parts was this communication with this guy to this family in Italy. And he didn't speak Italian or didn't know how to write Italian. So he was writing out a letter in English on TU letterhead. That is the most ancient looking TU letterhead.
Yeah.
And I was taking it to TU, and someone there was translating it and writing out the letters in Italian and then sending off the letters to Italy. And so he kept his English writing, and then we have the correspondence, the return. So we have both sides of the conversation,
that's
which is
really
really
cool.
exciting.
Yeah.
But he stayed with this family during World War II, I
some
guess. and-
time in there. We don't speak Italian, so
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah,
it's kind
we'd
of
love to connect with some people to translate it for us. But,
Yeah.
Google
it's-
Translate doesn't do very well with cursive writing.
Yeah,
I could see
yeah.
that.
But he visited them. Yeah, he built a church. I mean, he sent a massive amount of money during a time when no one really had much.
Mhm.
So it was really cool to see that like good cause
Mhm.
happening there so
Yeah.
long ago. But after the tile company left, there was a sewing company there,
Mhm.
and they had this really awesome wood subfloor office that later got carpeted and then cubicles built on top of it. And we really carefully deconstructed the building when we got our demo permit, and we repurposed. I mean, the walls we had to frame, we reused lumber that we were able to pull out, reframe walls, but all the subflooring we turned into tables and chairs. Our bar top is actually entirely made from the subflooring that we pulled
Cool.
up. Sally and me pulled all the nails out, got the glue off, and planed everything. And then my brother-in-law helped us with some cherry wood. There was a tree that fell during the Father's Day storm that destroyed our building. We murdered that tree. And,
Take that tree.
Anyway, he cut it all down and planed
Mhm.
it out. He's the carpenter. I'm not.
Yeah.
But so all the trim around the bar is from this cherry tree that fell during the same storm that destroyed our bar. So it's this cool full circle kind of thing.
Yeah.
But all our counters are all old flooring, which I love.
Yeah.
I absolutely love
That's
it.
cool.
So
So are you going to be able to eventually like host events and groups and stuff in your space?
So I think our office, the space she was talking about with
Yeah.
the mural, I think is going to be a really good like private event or a little group space if it's a bigger crowd, or if we could do something that is a large gathering of people or presentation. We do have this massive showroom space
Gotcha.
up front that one day we will hopefully move into and be able to use because it's
It's my personal pet peeve is development based on parking is stupid.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was.
Yeah,
a thing.
there's
Shots
some cities
fired.
have been able to get away from it, but there's the Tulsa and a lot of
So how does
cities.
Brookside work then?
It's the zoning. So I know
It's what zone
we're
does.
in.
Okay.
It's not commercial heavy. It's there's got some kind of weird name, but so we don't have to have a 1-for-1 parking because they assume that it is a walkable space,
Mhm.
but it's complicated.
Yeah.
If we didn't hire architects, there's no way I would have gotten any of this stuff right.
Yeah. So, what if somebody, say, had a book club and they usually have 12 to 15 people? Is there a good space?
Hypothetically.
Perfect space for a book club.
Bring it.
I would also just take this moment to mention that we are going to have the greatest lending library, likely in all of Tulsa.
All right.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
No, claim it, because
It's been said. It's been said on the podcast. It's raw now.
this fine woman next to me works at Magic City.
I
It
do.
is her
I call it my self-care job.
her self-care job. I think they just pay her in books because
close.
she gets so many ARCs, advanced reader copies
Mhm.
of books, months and months and months before they come out.
Oh,
And once she's read through them, they just kind of hang out. And so we have like 6 bookshelves at the house. We
Mhm.
bought additional bookshelves and they're full. So, we're giving a little push to move some of those great books to our lending library at the brewery.
and how do you feel?
And-
How do you feel about?
I love it.
Okay.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it's great. It's great. It's all great fun. But I think that is an aspect of our brewery that we overlook a lot, that a lot of people love to read, and
Mhm.
we both enjoy reading. I love learning, and I think if we have a really cool lending library, maybe we'll draw in some cool authors, get some fun author events maybe.
Mhm.
That would be super
But
fun.
I think that is a fun aspect of our brewery that we forget about a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Another hypothetical. What about, like, say, a live podcast, for example?
Oh, yeah, it'd be great.
Bring it on.
All right.
If you like echoes,
I do not like
and,
that.
buzzes, I bet we have plenty of
We
that.
probably have lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sound for a book club might be better than sound for a
Yeah,
podcast
that's fine.
recording.
That's
but,
fair. That's
you
fair.
know, depends on how much you can let go on your audio perfectionism.
Well, it depends on how it sounds to people in the room, really. Like, if it sounds terrible to them, then I don't want to do it. But
Yeah.
like on the recording, yeah, I can fix that. But well, so theoretically, you are, again, hopefully going to open on my birthday, May 25th. Theoretically, it might get pushed back. Who knows? Like, what is the like? If it does get pushed back, is it like a certain time it gets pushed back, or it's just like they give you a list of things that you haven't done yet, or that they made up for you to do until you can open?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get a list. They'll do a walkthrough and they'll give us a list of tasks, I suppose, of things they want changed or to see
Yeah, corrections, maybe.
corrections made, and then we'll make them, and knowing us, we'll make them very quickly.
24-hour turnaround.
We are
Yeah.
not above staying up all night to do some projects to get it done. But then it'll be up to them to come back, their schedules to come back and give us their blessings.
So what are you waiting on at this point?
Yeah, like, when are you waiting for the next scheduled visit?
Yeah,
Yes. So we're waiting on Abel.
Abel?
yeah.
Yep.
So, like, do you know when they're coming?
We do not.
No,
Okay.
No. So
we
they
do not.
we have this really lengthy application process where we have to get all these ducks in a row with the city and a lot of just documents, really. And then once they have everything in place, then they'll look at it. If it's not all there, they won't look at it. And then they'll establish a time to come out and do an inspection. Any issues or corrections or documents that are missing, it's just a back and forth delay, I think, that drags things out. But hopefully we did everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Well, for our listeners who are excited about this and want to make sure that they keep up to date with Good Cause, like, where can they follow you at?
At Good Cause Brewing on Instagram. We are probably more active on Instagram than Facebook these days. So go there.
Okay.
I would say TikTok, but we don't know the future of that.
That's true.
But right
Yeah.
now, are
Yeah.
you...
Are you on Threads?
No. No. I do get the ads.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like,
course.
all your friends are there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
No,
they're
I
here
don't think
too.
they are.
They're here
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Well, thank
So,
you. Yeah. Go
so
ahead.
I was just gonna say, so if you do open on the
May
25th, so what are your plans for? Are you planning a soft open and then a big event? Or are you jumping right in? Or
No, we are going to have a couple of days ahead of time. We're going to have, we had a GoFundMe. One of our early hurdles that we don't have to go into. We had some pretty early major curveballs thrown our way. And some dear dear supporters started a GoFundMe to help us with that. So we'll have those people and just our closest friends and family that have, mostly volunteers who have helped us out come and do a soft opening with us, just help us work out any kinks. And then 25th, we're all in.
Yeah, what I hope is we get to have like 3 days of just awesome. I really hope we can get a whole bunch of beers on draft and like all like, in a perfect world, we'll have so many great beers, but we'll have at least 4 solid beers and a few extra drinks.
The reality is that Andrew and I will probably be crying in a corner.
Yes. Yeah. If you show up at
Because
grand
we
opening,
made it.
I'll be the one ugly crying in the corner. And Sally will be the one bringing me snacks or crying with me.
Yeah.
Well, for people who are excited about that possibility.
So you do have something big planned. Good to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah.
A lot of tears.
Come for the beer, stay for the ugly cry.
Yes.
Our walk-ins are big enough for everyone.
Yes. It is.
I thought walk-ins were for screaming. That's what I remember from working in
tried
restaurants.
that and it doesn't track. Our walk-in is not scream proof.
Yeah, a lot of them
It
aren't.
is sob proof. It's definitely sob proof.
Amazing. Well, thank you both for coming.
Yes.
I know this is a very stressful and busy time for both of you, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And
absolutely.
we're very excited to come check out your brewery, hopefully when it opens on my birthday. So,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Listeners, everyone cross your fingers.
You
Yes.
can postpone your birthday.
That's true. That's
You
true.
could.
I've done that
just
before.
Make sure it times out.
Being born on Memorial Day weekend has
That's
made me
true.
celebrate my birthday lots of different times. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
because a lot of my friends growing up were not in town for my birthday, so it became like early June. So
Yeah.
so if we have to push it back a week, I'm okay with that.
I celebrated with you.
Yes. But thank you both so much. This was so great.
Thank you for having us and letting us just ramble.
Yeah. I feel like I was behind a question the entire thing.
Listen, I so rarely ever get to say you didn't answer my question. So I actually got to do that this time. That was
right,
great.
that's
So I
right.
appreciate it. Thank you. I got to be a real interviewer for once. So I appreciate it. So thank you.
That's good.
Thank you all for listening to our episode with Sally and Andrew. Please make sure to check them out on Instagram. And if you're listening to this in the middle of May of 2024, please go check them out when they open, hopefully on May 25th, my birthday this month. Don't forget to support Pod for Good. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. So please make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a review if you can. Again, with your name, if you got something to say to us. As always, Tulsa, get it done. Be kind to one another.